Welcome everybody to hour 6 of MogTalk 100. This is now story time. We're in lore hour. And I tried to get a good lore guest on, but I could only find Ethys, so we got him in here.
Yeah, Moose is still in Boston.
Yeah. I mean, like, what's the point anymore? I feel like we just shouldn't do lore episodes anymore if it's going to be subpar episodes with this dude. Sorry, I had to start off. I had to get it out of my blood. I've been containing a little bit. But
you see, you just know that I can't get any shots in while you're doing the intro. I just have to sit here quietly and patiently and let you do your thing. So you're like, oh, get him under the belt now.
Get him.
Yeah,
that's exactly how I felt. But yeah, guys, today we're gonna talk about lore, and I feel pretty ignorant on what's going on. And when I talk about lore, I mean story. I mean lore and story. I mean like everything that's going on that is information that you'd put in a book and you'd read it at your bedside. You know.
Yeah. Books.
Yeah, books
For nerds.
For nerds, so that's why dude has glasses on.
Right.
Nerd.
Yeah.
All right. So today we're going to be talking about lore in general with Mr. Ethys Asher, who you guys should be familiar with if you do pay attention to lore at all.
Howdy.
Ethys, go ahead. For the people that don't know who you are, can you go ahead and say, hey, this is who I am?
For people that don't know who I am, I'm a full-time Australian, and I'm a part-time aficionado on Twitch and YouTube of Final Fantasy XIV stuff, mostly centered around lore and story, as Frosty said.
Oh, that's so interesting. Your voice did that, so I had to mimic it a little bit.
Yeah.
Let me get my juice box. All right,
You're
dude.
really on the defensive here, aren't you?
I gotta be, man. I'm
you
waiting
just know
for
how
you.
these talks go.
I know I do. You're Australian, dude. I expect you to be like an asshole.
That's true.
Um,
So what do you got for me at the moment?
I got a couple things for you. First, I want to know, Ethys, I've talked to you I talk to you every once in a while. I wouldn't say like on the regular. I don't like message you in the morning and be like, hey, dude, what's up? But
Hey, baby.
I do talk to you, right? We have conversations, and the conversation, you said you turned your phone off.
I did! I didn't fucking turn it off.
I thought you said you turned
I
it off.
silenced that shit. That was an alarm. That was an alarm telling me that I'm late for MogTalk, actually. I learned my lesson.
I appreciate it. And I did it. I made you on a later segment, too, so you wouldn't have to wake up so early, but it didn't matter, I think.
Because I'm in LA.
Yeah, and that's what I want to do at this. I want to get a life update on you, man. What's going on with you, dude? How you doing? Dude?
A life update on me?
Yeah, I want a life update. What are things I need to know? If I know who Ethys is, and I kind of had an idea who he was before,
right.
What do I need to know about current status of Mr. Ethys?
You mean my personal life?
Yeah, just going on with your life, dude.
Well, I'm in LA at the moment, just visiting at the moment, but I'm actually I'm in the middle of like a visa application for a green card to move to the US. So I'm probably going to be living in the US by the by the end of this year, the very, very latest. I just got partnered on Twitch. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
They didn't even tell you, right? They just sent out a newsletter or something? Like, I don't know.
Oh yeah, I got sent a newsletter that I was just like CC'd of like Australian sort of streamer news, and I was just like, like Australian partnered streamer news. I was like, all right, okay,
I'll take it.
Okay.
Well, congratulations, dude. That's awesome.
Thanks,
I mean, you definitely should have been up there. I mean, just coming into Twitch, you shouldn't have had to even stream a day, and you should have had partnership, to be honest, if you did. But I do want to tell you one thing. The Zoom is like a new kind of programming. Like, there's all kinds of little goofy things for it. You know where that mute button is? There's a little arrow like right next to it.
Yeah.
Go to audio options, then go to test computer mic and speakers, and then you should go to audio. It should be under audio maybe already, and then you see automatic
audio options.
Yeah, and then
Test.
Yeah, we want to get rid of the automatic adjust volume of mic.
All right, done.
There you go. Because I heard it like scream at me for a second. I was like,
all right, sorry about that, boo.
It's all right. It's not your fault, dude. It's just me. I'm trying a new program out, and you're experiencing it, dude.
Done.
Okay. So you moved. You're getting a green card, and it's because you have a girlfriend. Is that
Yeah.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah, or a boyfriend. Who knows?
I mean, has anyone seen or met this person?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Maybe they have.
Maybe. Okay.
They have. Yeah.
Okay.
Most people know who it is.
Is that something I need to know, or is it something you want to keep like secretive, or?
It's something that you can work out pretty easily, if you really care.
I don't. That's the thing. Like I just.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll run with it. I assume that you're with Mary now. So what we'll do is we'll just.
Got it. Got it in one. Nailed it.
Nailed it right there. Okay, so I want to talk to you a little bit about lore, man. And have you been keeping up with like the story I was doing and kind of status of everything going on with the world?
Yeah, absolutely.
I haven't like been able to keep up to date as much as I wanted to, and so I kind of want to know what are some things that have kind of come out recently about the story within the patch that maybe gave you some thoughts on what's coming up in this next patch. Things that are interesting that I need to know about what's going on.
Sure. Well, the important thing, right, is you go to Ishroud and you look up and you see a big glowing ball in the sky, right? Mm-hmm. Papalimo put it there. He used the Tup Samadhi. He basically did a miniature version of what we see in the A Realm Reborn trailer with Louis Soir trying to reseal Bahamut. It's the same spell he's using. And he's using it on this primal that Ilberd at Baelsar's wall was trying to produce with this massive sacrifice of life. And all these people around are dying. And as we already know of the Ala Mhigans, they're praying to Ralga, who is one of the 12, who is the god of destruction and the patron of the monks of the Fist of Ralga. So he's basically summoned Ralga as a primal, and Papalimo, in a last-ditch effort, has contained it. And that's what we're seeing there. But that's not going to last. It's only a temporary measure. So we saw from the rest of the 3.5 trailer, I should say. We saw some Omega. We saw some Nero. We saw them bumming around in Cartano Flats and again in Baelsar's wall. And we're sort of thinking, well, what's up with that? How are they going to tie in? So what do you know about Algan weapons? If you think back to like A Realm Reborn, what was like the whole deal with the Ultima weapon, right?
I don't know. I just know that he's a Final Fantasy guy, dude. I know that he's out there and he's supposed to be like some big badass. Like Ruby weapons, like another one I would think about, and just things like that. They just kind of lump them all in that category.
So in A Realm Reborn, the big deal with Ultima weapon is that he was I should say. I'm sorry, did you just misgender Ultima weapon? It absorbs primals and uses them as a fuel source.
Right.
And this is a thing that Allagans do all the time. It's the same with the Warring Triad. They're using it to basically power the engines that keep Azislar in the sky. And it's reasonably safe to assume that Omega does the same sort of thing. So what we're basically positing at the moment, for those of us who are speculating about it, is that we're going to realize that this measure that Papalimo has taken to contain this thing, we're going to realize that it's going to fail. It's going to fail like as hard as Bahamut's one did. It's not a permanent fix. And Nero Tolskeba is going to come to us, and we saw him at the Lotus stand talking to the Eorzean Alliance. He's going to come to us and he's going to be like, yo, the only way we can do this is if you guys give me the keys to a mega weapon and I let that bad boy out. So that's what 3.56 is going to be. It's going to be about, it's interesting because you remember from Crystal Tower, like the whole story arc we got between like Sid and Nero, and how Nero kind of got over like the whole pissing contest with Sid and sort of evolved a little bit as a character. We're right back in that. So that's going to be really interesting.
You know, it's funny, like Nero, like all I know is like, hey, I saw him a couple of times over at the Crystal Towers. Now I just don't, I've never even thought about him again. I just know that like he's apparently becoming important again, and it just doesn't make. Does it feel like he's coming out of nowhere, or is this like a logical setting?
No, it's a logical place to have him. Absolutely. It was interesting the way that he got hold of a mega weapon and kind of convenient the timing that he did so. But you know, it's
yeah. Okay.
It's got to fit in neatly. The other thing with Baelsar's wall, which was really important, for those of you who have been running it, even if you've been skipping the cutscenes, you would notice that there's a point where you actually fight like a couple of groups of mobs that are dressed in the regalia of the Eorzean Alliance. That they're dressed up as like Storm Lieutenants and you know, they're dressed up as the Grand Companies, effectively. So what's happening there is that Ilberd has got his members of the Ala Mhigan resistance to invade this Garlean fix position, Baelsar's Wall, disguised as members of the Eorzean Alliance. And he's let that sort of be reported back to Garlemald. So basically, as far as Garlemald is concerned, the Eorzean Alliance, so all of the Eorzean city-states, have just declared war on them.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I caught that. Like, there was a whole big trick to, like...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the problem now is that our hands are tied, and the way that the Eorzean leaders have sort of been tiptoeing around the Garlean problem, that's no longer an option. We have to commit to this war.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's going to take us into Stormblood, is that we're not going to be able to handle them by ourselves. We're going to have to unite different factions of the Ala Mhigan resistance. And that's also going to be the reason why we're heading over to Othard, is basically, so for people who are wondering, because so many people are like, oh my God, they came out of nowhere. What reason could we possibly have for going to Weebsville in Othard? So basically, if you think about it like either of the Great World Wars, you have an Eastern Front, you have a Western Front. You need to divide the forces of, in this case, Garlemald. And we're going to be fighting them on two fronts. We're going to be uniting resistance in Othard and fighting them in the east. We're going to be uniting the Eorzean Alliance and the Ala Mhigan resistance and fighting them in the west. And it's going to be a lot of sort of jumping back and forth. And that's, I feel like a lot of the story for 4.0 is going to be about like uniting those various factions under one banner. And we're basically going to be moving into like a Heidelin World War, which is pretty crazy.
It seems pretty intense. I mean, like a lot bigger scale. I guess. So we're on our little land that I thought was like a decent size. Now we're just like going out and we're expanding and we're actually being the allied forces trying to go out and stop stuff before it gets to us almost. Like that's what it feels like. Okay.
Yeah. And that map reveal that we got, oh man.
That's a lot of map.
That's a lot of map. That is a whole lot of map. There's a whole lot of map. And you can actually use a lot of that map already to kind of trace our journey to Othard and, the areas that we're going to be visiting in there. And there's sort of things that you can speculate about, lore and story in there. So where do you want to start? You want to talk about what we think of Ala Mhigo and Girabanya, or do you want to talk about what we think of the East?
I mean, like, I guess I want to hit... we've already hit Ala Mhigo. Ala Mhigo feels kind of like old news almost. No one cares about it. It's just a bunch of sand, right?
I care.
Yeah.
But you're right. You're right. I hear you.
So, like, the thing that, like, the trailer for seeing a new zone, the samurais and everything else, is that, like, it's colorful, it's nice, but it looks like it's the exact same tone of color everywhere. Like, it doesn't seem like anything really stands out unique to me. Is that the same feeling?
Well, the trailer in the East, that was all based in the one city.
Well, I mean, they showed zones pictures, right?
Yeah, they showed us pictures of the zones. Well, you thought it looks pretty samey?
I thought it looked like kind of dull. I might be alone on this, but...
I don't know about that. So one of the areas we're getting is called the Azim Steppe.
Okay.
It's this big steppe, big grassland. For those of you who don't know what a steppe is, it's kind of a big plains area that's sort of usually capped by like mountains and stuff. So that we don't have a zone anything like that anywhere in the game.
Well, I mean, it sounds like it would be a boring zone almost, right?
You think so? Okay. Well, if we look closely at that zone, you remember those big like bowl-shaped monuments that were scattered around them? You look closely at those. They have all of the markings and the patterns of the Allagan defense nodes. So they're actually fucking Allagan ruins, which the Al-Ra tribes in the Azim Steppe have obviously attributed some sort of significance to, associated with their god, Azim, who is their sun god, who just happens to have the same basically the same name as our sun god, Azima. So there's an interesting little tie in there.
Right.
The other thing with the Azim Steppe, right, is that Yoshida told us that Othard proper, like the mainland, not the island chain with Hingashi and Kugane and all that, but Othard proper was sort of a mix between these kind of Chinese influences and these Mongolian influences. And the second he said Mongolian influences and starts talking about these steppes, these plains, and us knowing that it is home to these nomadic tribes of Al Ra, I'm thinking, oh shit, we got Mongolians. We're gonna have a fucking Genghis Khan.
Do you think there's a Genghis Khan there, like giant statue of Genghis Khan, like kind of like monuments like that around?
I think we're gonna play that role.
We're Genghis Khan?
I think we're Genghis Khan. So the big deal about the Mongolians and like a huge sort of motivation for the way they united, and we're not going to unite them in the same way that Genghis Khan did, because that was that was not characteristic of the warrior. Well, actually, that was very characteristic of the warrior. Like, what am I saying? We killed way more people than Genghis Khan.
Yeah, but we didn't do as many like rapings, I think, as Genghis Khan did. Maybe.
That's it. Well, I mean, that's your headcanon.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So. I'm thinking that as we know, a huge motivation for the Mongolians uniting to fight against China was the fact that they were sort of not like directly like enslaved, but they were sort of very indirectly oppressed and sort of really sort of screwed over. I think that as a huge part of the theme of Stormblood is in uniting all these disparate peoples against the Garland threat, we're going to be going in there and we're going to be trying to like basically unite the various nomadic tribes of the Al Ra and get them to join this faction of Othard resistance against Garland. And I think that is going to be like a pretty pivotal kind of arc somewhere in the main scenario quest. I think I'm really excited for that. That is going to be fucking awesome. Like there's so much potential in the theme of uniting various rebel factions to sort of join the big fight against the big evil empire. It's like it's got a very kind of Star Wars vibe in a way, you know. Mm-hmm. We're gonna get some Rogue One references in there, I reckon.
Oh, so I kind of have a question in regards to comparisons here. Mm-hmm. And so if we were talking about lore and story coming from A Realm Reborn going mm-hmm. into Heavensward versus lore and story coming from Heavensward to Stormblood, mm-hmm. Were you more okay, I guess this, I don't know if this is a good question or not, but were you more excited then than you are now, or vice versa?
See, we thought moving into Heavensward that we were going to get a payoff with the whole Uldar situation. Mm-hmm. And that turned out to be the beginnings of like the seeds of a setup to Stormblood, actually, of all things. So the fact that they've done that makes me super hyped. I you know what? I don't know. The Dragonsong War, I feel like I'm biased because I'm a Dragoon, and going into the Dragonsong War, I was like, oh shit, oh my god. But I think that the sort of precipice that we stand on now in terms of the story in the main scenario quest is completely unprecedented. I think that what we're moving into is nothing like we're seeing in terms of scale, in terms of scope, in terms of like opportunities for storytelling. I think that if you're not more excited about it than you were for Heavensward, then you should be. Okay.
So, like, we have a lot more opportunity for some juicy story.
Yes, I think so, yeah.
Okay. Now, when we talk about in regards to juicy story, though, are we talking mm-hmm. about just getting information on the gods? Are we talking about, like, getting, like, just information in general? Are we talking about people, like, cheating on each other and stealing from each other and, like...
Okay, you know what? That's okay. The Lady in Red, okay? Mm-hmm. There's two sort of lines about what people seem to think she is. My money and on this point, my money is worth a lot. I'll tell you that. It's Ida. But there have been some people talking about Ida's sister. We know Ida had a sister. Mm-hmm. We know that they were both the children of a very important figure in the Garland resistance before the Garland takeover, when they were rebelling against their despotic king, Theodoric, the King of Ruin, who was sort of, you know, rounding people up and killing them and, you know, doing horrible things. So their father was a leading figure of the rebellion against him.
Okay.
when they deposed the King of Ruin, the Garlands just sort of waltzed in, and everything was in such a mess that no one was able to put up a fight. Ida and her sister got out. We know that they went to the 12's Wood. We know that they had a tough time being accepted by the elementals there, as all the Ala Mhigan refugees are. They get like really shat on by the elementals. They get they basically get cursed by the elementals. The whole forest sort of turns against them because they're not like they're not kosher or whatever. Yeah. Well, no, not because they're not magical, just because they haven't been like approved by the elementals in the way that the Gridanians have been. So they get a really hard time. We know that eventually they made their way to the Dravanian hinterlands. We know that Ida got into Charlene through some machinations of Louis Soir, and it seems safe to assume at the moment that it's because she was such an important figure to the potential Ala Mhigan resistance against Garlemald, right? And that's why she's showing up now as the Lady in Red, because she's the daughter of this war hero, of this resistance war hero. And as a symbol, she could, unite people against the Garlands. And that's this grand legacy that Papalingwell is talking about when he said, "No, you must go. I have to do this. And, you have an important role to play." So
that was a wonderful, wonderful impression, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So that leaves us with Ida's sister, right? Who is she? Where is she? So we've seen the artwork of that new poster. We've got like the tower of characters, and the Lady in Red. I'm just going to call her Ida because she's freaking Ida. She's at the top there, and there's another hero woman that's right next to her, and this hero woman is in what I would describe as like a vaguely sort of Garland outfit. My theory at the moment with that is that after seeing the animosity with which they were treated when they tried to, retreat into Eorzea as refugees, right? Basically, we've got Ida sort of pushing on, and we've got Ida's sister saying, "Hang on, maybe it's a jolly good thing what the Garlands are doing after all to these savages." And maybe she goes back to Ala Mhigo, and maybe she's like the antithesis of Ida. Maybe as much as Ida is a uniting force for resistance against Garlemald, Ida's sister is a uniting force for reference to Garlemald. So I think that we're going to have a very intimate and a very kind of personal story between these two characters, because you're asking about people being like backstabbed and like Game of Thrones kind of shit.
Yeah.
I think that is going to be a huge part of the expansion with these two characters.
I mean, that's actually a really, really good set of, like, it felt like you actually built up a story and you were going by line, like, yeah, this is going to happen because of this and this and this and this. So, I mean, it is backed up pretty well. I mean, there's some good factual bits of information that can back it up. So I'm going to go with you on this one. I'm going to say, yeah, okay, you're right.
All right, you do it. Okay.
I was going through the highlight videos, by the way. I don't. We did it at the very beginning of the show. And one of the sections...
They're just videos of me, right? The highlight videos?
Well, a couple of them are. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. And so basically the video that I had was when we were talking about Ida. We were talking about Ida, and it was the clip that I pulled. And you're like, so you think she's a dancer? I'm like, yeah. And I was like, nah. You know what? Screw it. It's Samurai Red Mage. And this was before JP FanFest, so I was like, gotcha. What you gonna do?
Fucking gotcha, bitch.
Jesus, man. Okay, so that's a good amount of information going forward with maybe what the storyline's going, the main storyline at least, with those guys, Ida and Scions and everyone else. So when we're talking about like Omega, you said that was kind of a thing that we're gonna be dealing with Nero, right? He's going to be our main guy for that, and so he's just trying to bring him back. And is he gonna fuck us over, or is he gonna be?
Well, he's gonna try to control Omega, but it's gonna be another one of those cases of vaulting ambition, which overleaps itself. And we know that Omega and the interdimensional rift is going to be the raids for 4.0, the A-Man raids. So basically, Nero's going to try to control Omega in some way. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I think probably he doesn't. And Omega fucks off into the interdimensional rift. And, you know, at the climax of the 4.0 story, like after we finish the 4.0 story, it's going to be like, oh shit, Omega's there. He's doing some nonsense. We're going to have to deal with him. That's in response to basically people being frustrated by the fact that Alexander literally came out of nowhere.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's not much of a setup, but it doesn't need much of a setup, you know? They just need to plant the seeds there. And to be fair, they planted the seeds for Omega back in 2.1. So yeah, that's going to be great.
All right. So the next topic then, you know, Ivalice, I think it's right. How do you say that?
Ivalice.
Ivalice.
Yeah.
All right. Where is that coming from? Like, all I know is that it's going to exist. What do you have thoughts on that?
So what Frosty's referring to here, guys, is the 24-man raid. The title that we've been given is Return to Ivalice. Unfortunately, the operative word, according to most people, seems to be return. So people are like, oh shit, are we like literally going to the Ivalice of Final Fantasy 12? Is it one of the other shards? Because we know we've got these sort of other dimensions and these other shards that are sort of reflections of Hydaelyn or whatever. There's a lot of Ivalice references in the Void, you know, just from like Kulin. We know that what is it? Anyway, there's a whole bunch of stuff in the Void, which is sort of references to Final Fantasy 12 and Final Fantasy Tactics. So a lot of people are saying, oh hey, maybe you know, we'll be going there, we'll be doing that. What we do know, and this we can't see on the map, unfortunately, but in that sort of shrouded part on the west of Othard, there's two city-states in there somewhere. One of them's called Dalmasca, or one of them's called Rabanasta. Okay,
those names are like so hard for me. I don't think I would remember those names.
There were two city-states in Ivalice.
Okay.
In Final Fantasy 12 and Final Fantasy
that's
Tactics.
Right. Well, I played a lot of Tactics, but I did not play a lot of 12.
Right. So they were the names of cities in those games.
Okay.
In the Ivalice Alliance. So the working theory is that the 24-man raid is also going to be very sort of Garland centric, and it's going to be in a way sort of an extension of the main scenario quest, insofar as we're going to be trying to either liberate these places, or we're going to be trying to assist like the resistance in these places fighting against the Garlands. That's what I think. Again, the alternative is that we're going back to the Void, which honestly, like, it wouldn't be surprising, but I think it'd be a little bit tedious given that the last two 24-man raids have been about the Void. I think like we've seen more of the Void than we've seen of basically anything else at this point. So I think we can.
Are you upset with the Void?
No.
Do you not like
it? No, I love it. I just want to see something new and novel and different.
Okay, fair enough.
So yeah, there's that. It could be one of the other shards, but my money is on it's referring to, you know, how Eorzea is sort of a collection of city-states in Aldenard. I think that Ivalice is just going to be a reference for a collection of city-states in Othard.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me, man. Yeah. Okay. So we talked a little bit about Stormblood. We talked a little bit about the patches and everything else that's happening. Is there anything else that's like really relevant that we might want to know?
The primals, the new primals are pretty interesting, I think.
Why? Well, tell me why they're so interesting.
Well, there's one in particular with the Kojin living in the seas, the Jade Sea, I believe.
Right. The Thornton twin, it looks like to me, right?
Yeah. Off the coast of Othard there. There's a reason why you only really see primals in Eorzea. And that's because Eorzea is the only place on the planet that has enough ether and enough ether crystals and sort of land that is like ether rich enough to summon primals. So the fact that we're getting a primal in the east already is like, well, how is that even happening? What's going on there? I mean, are they shipping crystals from Eorzea? What's going on? So one of the key things that we know about the Kojin, again, these little turtle people, not to be confused with the Kadav, even though I think they do look pretty similar. A lot of people have been saying, well, at least they don't look anything like that. They kind of look like the Kadav. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they have this interesting sort of set of spiritual beliefs where they worship the kami or the gods that reside in objects, right? So they'll say, oh, this stone has a god in it. That chair has a god in it. This tree has got a tree spirit in it. So they basically worship like treasures and artifacts and stuff like that. So what I'm thinking is we're going to get this really unique method of primal summoning where we're going to get something like the Tupsamati, right? Or like a dragon's eye or one of those kinds of artifacts that is capable of storing like a huge amount of ether in like a very, very small space. They're going to get their hands on that, presumably through some sort of Ascience machinations. And they're going to worship that object. They're going to think it's an object of power. And through the very act of worshiping, that's going to produce a primal.
Okay. I mean, that's a pretty easy way to make that happen, right?
Yeah. But the reason why we need to approach it in that kind of way is because we know that they sort of trade with humans. They're quite like amiable with the other spoken races and stuff like that. And people are sort of thinking like, well, what could possibly make them want to produce a primal? And I think this might be other than Enkidu, I think this might be like the first instance of a primal like accidentally being summoned. You know what I mean?
Just completely accidentally?
Well, because they worship these objects, right? So that if you've got a stone and you're worshiping it, it doesn't have much ether in it. So nothing's going to happen, right?
It just turns out that they got the right piece of treasure.
It just turns out they got the right piece of treasure, which is going to have a shitload of ether in it. They're gonna think that there's a god in that piece of treasure, and guess what? Like in thinking that, it's gonna be a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? That's gonna be really interesting. The other one is the Ananta, the sort of Lamia beast tribe.
Yeah, snake lady.
They're living in Ablathia Spine. They've been around since before the Alligans. You'd think that they would know better. They're an all female race. I don't know whether they reproduce, but I think it might be safe to assume that they're like members of their species that were even alive back in the time of Alec. They should fucking know better, right?
Right.
So one of the big mysteries is like, well, how and why are they going to summon a primal? What's going on there? How's that gonna happen?
Maybe she's just been alive this entire time.
That's possible, and that's what I'm thinking, because the thing we know about them, we've been told that they're sort of experts in like gem craft and that sort of thing. That maybe they just have this living god that is just fueled by this gemcraft bullshit that they're doing constantly. So I'm really, really interested to see how they bring the primals. I was, and I'm sure that a lot of people felt the same way. I was really disappointed by the lore behind Bismarck and Ravana. I thought it was pretty like shallow. I mean, the Warring Triad was great, but those two in particular was like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Boring. Because I was expecting so much from them. And maybe it's a mistake to be expecting, some really interesting background to these two. But you know what? I'm gonna be optimistic. I think they're gonna be great. I think they're gonna be really, really good.
All right. I'm gonna clip that and then I'll re-air it to you right after Stormblood. Sound good?
All right. Sweet.
Okay.
Awesome.
Let's hit some questions here. We're gonna shoot through them. We got Snarter's question for Ethys. How do you carry a bad player in Overcooked? I'm assuming you understand the reference to that.
I do. You cut them off. You don't let them drink too much. Yeah.
Just say don't drink anymore.
Yeah. Stop drinking. Next
Take
question.
him to an AA meeting. All right. Moon Dasher. Where can I find the next Ethys and Mary fanfic?
Where can you find the next Ethys and Mary fanfic? Look, there's like quite a few of them floating around. I tend to do like some dramatic readings from time to time when a new one crops up. So if you're following me on Twitch, then there's a pretty good chance that you'll run into that. Yeah, I got the hot deeds.
All right, Ro Magnus. Anything in the works, like the coil one you did back a while back?
Right. So I was in the middle of doing an Alexander video, like a big, big scale Alexander video, kind of like the one I did for coil way back. And my hard drive died, and I lost like hundreds and hundreds of gigabytes of data and footage, which is irretrievable. So I'm kind of back to square one in a couple of projects at the moment, and that's the main reason why you guys haven't seen much on the YouTube side in the past month. I'm really sorry about that, but suffice to say, it's still coming. It's coming. It'll be coming slowly, but it is still coming.
As long as it comes.
You said it. You said it.
I knew why I was saying it, and I knew that I just felt bad that I said it afterwards. I don't know why. I was like, I could have done something better with my time besides.
At least commit to it, dude.
It was so easy.
At least take responsibility for it.
Vic Roto, question for Ethys. Do you think we're going to the moon in 4.0? We got pretty close and done this game.
Right. So this question was actually asked in a live letter Q&A, and the response was effectively, you remember when we saw that scene with Elidibus and the Warrior of Darkness standing on the moon? Mm-hmm. They were like, that was entirely just for like, demonstrative purposes. That was for like a dramatic atmosphere. That's not a place that we're going to be going to. That's basically what he said. Like he didn't like straight out say no, but he said that kind of soft no, which is as hard a no as he's allowed to say. Vic, I know, everybody knows we're not going to the fucking moon.
You guys have seen how big the map is, right? We got to hit all that stuff before they're like, oh crap, what do we do now? Moon, and then shoot us off.
Well, the map that we see isn't even the whole world map.
Right.
We don't have the New World on that. We don't have Mericidia on that.
Got lots of expansions to go, dude.
We certainly do. Hopefully.
Yeah. C. Huffick, at this, do you think the 13 Zodiac emblems may hold some significance towards the new 24-man raid, or simply just decorative?
So that's as I was saying before, there's a whole lot of because Final Fantasy 14 does this to every other Final Fantasy game. There's a whole bunch of references to Final Fantasy 12, to tactics, to the Ivalice Alliance in general, scattered around the game in the Zodiac symbols, in names of characters. A Void Sent, like Hulin, for instance, was an Esper, or whatever the fuck they were called. So I don't want to say no, but I think that it's a mistake at the moment to see other Final Fantasy 12 references and assuming that they're going to tie into Return to Ivalice. They might, but I think it's a mistake to assume that. Okay.
Turto, could it be that Xantic Tuxin, is that right? Xantic Tuxin, the new primal, is that what his name is? Xantic? How do you say that?
What?
Zantetsuken.
Oh, are you talking about Zantetsuken?
Zantetsuken. I don't know how to say that.
We're talking about Odin's sword?
Could it be that is a kami? What? So is it a god?
I don't know. The thing is, the kami, the way the Kojin are sort of approaching their gods and their spirituality, if they saw Zantetsuken, if they saw Odin, they would certainly think so, right? But it's a primal, and what they're doing is just using another, I guess, set of metaphors to describe what a primal is. So yes and no, I guess.
I'm getting shit on pretty hard. Look, guys, this is a hard word. All right, I don't hear it every day.
It is a hard word.
All right, come on.
Xantic Totsun Sukin.
All right, mediocre 90. Is that the reason the Asians concentrate calamities in Eorzea because of all the Aether?
Yeah. So the calamities, as far as we understand, is like ripples in a pond. Is if you're over in Othard, you might like stub your toe or something, right? Mm-hmm. In Eorzea, yes, you can do the most damage because there's the most amount of ether, and hitting that hard forces Hydaelyn to sort of supplement that ether that's being damaged by pulling one of the shards and reintegrating it back into herself. And that's what the calamities are. That's what the rejoinings are that the Ascians talk about. So in a word, yes.
Okay. Twin Armageddons, do you believe that the Warriors of Light have ascended past being above average humans and may possibly be primals themselves?
Now, this question comes up a lot, and it often goes back to the scene where Thornton is dying, and he looks up at us, and we're like silhouetted, and he's like, "What are you?" That again, like the moon scene, is just a dramatic effect. It's a common sort of theatrical technique. Here's the thing: if we were a primal, the Scions would know. The Scions have all of this fancy gear for reading like ethereal levels. They can tell from, across the other side of Eorzea when there's a primal that's appeared that started consuming ether. We are more powerful demonstrably than all of the primals that we fought. So we would have to be consuming a lot more ether than they are. We would be the real threat. The Scions, unless there's some kind of like massive global conspiracy where the Scions actually working for the Ascians, I know, like you're getting into some Illuminati shit. It is possible that they could, take that curveball, give us a bazinga. Oh my God, 8.0 running out of ideas, the Warrior Lights, but primal the whole time. But like I say, that's like some Illuminati shit. I don't think so.
All right. Then we got some questions here. That are a little bit less serious from Little Vegeta. Question for Ethys: on the scale of 1 to I-280 diadem weapon, how big is your chub right now?
I couldn't care less about the I-280 weapons in diadem. There's like 4 levels of RNG that you have to go through to get a best in slot I-280 weapon. As Yoshida said, y'all need to settle the fuck down.
I like how you avoided the question and just went into like a serious answer to it. How big is your chub? Hey, look, here's how it dies. let me
It's about 2/3.
2/3. Perfect. Yeah. Larry Czar, a question: is it true that you have Koji locked up in your closet to feed you lore secrets?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm glad we got that out of the way. And last question, I think, is for me from C. Havik. Question: is that high C Echo Cooler you're drinking? No, guys, it's tea. It's tea. Yao's tea. That was really high definition. Oh, how do I get that again?
In a juice box.
Yeah, juice box, dude. No additive preservatives, guys. We'll get some wine on here in the closing hour, guys. Yeah, I guess we can do Victro real quick. When are you getting BBTV at this?
BTTV. When someone does it for me.
Fair enough. All right, guys. We got to close up this episode because I got to set up for the next one. Guy, it's been a while, dude. At this, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, we always say that, don't we?
Yeah, but I mean, you go over the fucking State of the Realm all the time. Why do I even try, man? You've missed a dream team now. You gotta go over.
You didn't ask me. You fucking asked me. Like, I'm only gonna say yes or no. Shit, dude, man. No, seriously, man. Every time I do a show with you, it's just nice, just hanging out, just talking. Yeah. Yeah.
I have fun with it. And I mean, you're gonna be closer to me soon too, right? Because you're going to LA.
Yeah.
At some point, we can. All the people who are like, there's a good amount of West Coast people over there around LA and that area. We could all probably just head to Vegas and just have like a little meetup and have like a little fun time without families, right? Yeah. Screw it. Why not? It's only like a 4-hour drive for you.
Just a bunch of dudes hanging out in Vegas.
I mean, I guess so. Yeah, sure.
Nothing homo.
No. Kerr will be with me. She'll monitor me.
Oh, come on, dude. Come on, just give me a shot. Just give me one night.
Yeah, I don't think I can do it, man. I'll end up dead. I can't even joke about it. Kurt's probably mad right now because I was joking about it. Jesus, Kurt is amazing, though. By the way, I have to say something good real quick. All right. Guys, thank you for watching this segment. We have 2 more segments to go. We got JP versus NA rating, and we also have Xeno Super Secret Special Edition segment at the very end of the show. Then we got closing, of course, after that.
Oh shit, we got Arthas
Yeah,
next.
Arthas is next. Arthas and Bok Choy, two
Don't
absolutely
touch
amazing
that
people.
dial.
Don't do it, guys. And we
Don't
will.
you fucking dare.
No, yeah, seriously. And Ethys, you better be here too, dude. I'm gonna
Yeah,
be watching
oh,
chat. I'm gonna be looking, like, I'm gonna wait for.
Actually, you know, I'm probably gonna be starting my stream in like half an hour.
You piece of shit. And you said that on my stream. You're trying to pull people away from me. What a dick. Come on, dude. You can last. You'll make it.
All right, fine.
I just bullied you.
Just for you.
All right, guys. We're going to end this segment here. I'll be back here in just a couple of minutes with Arthas and Bok Choy. Thank you guys very much for watching. Do your wave bye. Come on. Let's see your wave, Ethys. Bye, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Be safe.